Shalom, Shalom. All praise to Yahweh Shemiel Shabash Kakadash. Just gonna check the stream quickly, see if it's on. So if I do, is that gonna affect hopefully still. All right. Okay, let's check this now. Bear with me. I'm just making sure the stream's running correctly before I start going into this lesson. There we go. Cool. Right, this is frozen. Why is it frozen? Okay, it just seems a bit delayed. That's all. So, at the volume. Testing, 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 testing. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's just a bit delayed, but it's running. Okay, yeah, that's cool. All right, man. Hey, again, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor, which is due unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakadash. All right, all praises is due, and double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Muslim of the world. Shalom to you, and talking this truth, and are enduring and leading the flock by example. And shalom to the elect of Yahweh Shai, the elect of Israel, starting with 144,000. All right, and today's lesson, man, I'm going to touch on Revelation 18, and it's not a huge chapter, but there's a lot in it. There's a lot of it's future prophecy, and we're going to go into that in this lesson, Lord willing, and Lord willing, it's edifying. Okay, but Revelation 18 pretty much goes into the destruction of America. In the scriptures, America, there's different ways that America is known in the scriptures. Okay, um, you know, um, the bloody city. Um, some other examples? Spiritually Nineveh, spiritually Egypt, spiritually Sodom. And that's in Revelation. Um, Damn, there's another one in my head. It's just Babylon is the main one, which we're going to go into in this lesson. All right. Um, which Babylon means confusion. Okay, it's a land of confusion. All right. Bear with me. Yeah, man. So different names it's known by in the scriptures. The scriptures ain't just gonna say America. A lot of Israelites, a lot of Jake out there, they're hearing this truth. Some people they're just blinded to this. They're dark. They're not of the elect. Or it doesn't say America. Well, the prophets were describing things to the best of their ability, and a lot of the prophets, like for example, if they saw a chariot, they would describe that chariot, a flying roll. Okay, a lot of prophets that were getting these visions, okay, and getting them written down, they didn't know what a lot of it was about. This is the time when we know it, when we know what these prophecies mean. We're breaking it down to you. So when John was getting these a lot of these visions of this destruction, and he was seeing the destruction, okay, but he didn't understand every single part of it. But he saw it, okay. This is the time when we're breaking down, because America's here. Babylon, the great city that's spoken of in Revelation, is here. Okay, it's been formed. So, that's why we go into these lessons to break down this prophecy of the time that we're in. So without further ado, man, let's start. This is Revelation chapter 18, verse 1. And just the way I've got the setup today, I haven't got the scriptures on the screen. All right, so just gonna have to get your scriptures out and follow along, man. All right. This is Revelation chapter 18, verse 1. It says, "And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory." You know, and that's Yahweh Shai is going to be coming back with the angels in that huge father ship and the different ships that are going to be there. The main ship that the Lord's going to be coming in. All right. That's talking about that. Okay. And pretty much, you know, the Lord's return is also synonymous with the destruction of America, the destruction of Babylon, because America is that's like the stronghold, that's the great city, that's the main place of this man's kingdom, the main place of the destruction, and also the main place of the salvation. Okay, all the tribes are over there, you know, the main place of the transatlantic slave trade. All right, America was built up on the blood of you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Okay, which we're the true Israelites. All right. And it says, "And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird." Now, let's get a precept on that. This is Isaiah chapter 34, verse 10. And it says, "It shall not be quenched night nor day." And this is talking about the destruction of Babylon, which is America. All right, this ain't talking about ancient Babylon. This is talking about the new Babylon, which is America, right? It says, "It shall not be quenched night or day." What's not going to be quenched? That fire that's going to be put upon America through that thermonuclear destruction and from the lasers from the chariots that the Lord's coming in, the so-called UFOs, for you to understand, right? "It shall not be quenched night nor day. The smoke thereof shall go out forever," meaning a very long, long time, because there's a lot of fuel there. It's going to be a great destruction. The whole land of America is going to be on fire. "From generation to generation it shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever," because no one's going to be dwelling there. America's going to be, you know, a remembrance of, you know, why you don't mess with the Lord's people. Okay, it's going to be that great city. You know, you got all these different empires, okay, philosophies and all that pushed in this man's kingdom. All right, by Esau, the devil, right, the so-called white man, and pretty much, you know, what you see is everything about America is like to the top. It's that in terms of in the earth, it's that superpower, it's that global power. Okay. So when it's going to be made an example of, it's being built up to the point where, which really is getting taken down now, pretty much since the 70s. But what's happening is the Lord is going to make a great example of America. Okay, that great military power, all of that thing, all that pomp that it's got is going to be brought down low. It says, "But the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it. The owl also and the raven shall dwell in it." These are unclean birds. Speaking of what we read in Revelation 18, they're unclean to eat, right? They're going to be dwelling in it. You're going to be on the birds there, okay? "And he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness," because right now you got borders, you got states. You're not going to have none of that. America's just going to be a big wasteland, you know? Like imagine just like a desert land, just smoke rising. It's going to be, you know, like something out of a movie, man, because, you know, the scriptures say that Arabian ain't going to pitch tent there, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. That's Isaiah 13. So you're not going to have people going and, well, let this settle down and let's go set up some business there. No. That land, we're going to be with our children in the kingdom, you know, flying, might fly out around, you know, near it or whatever, and be like that. You know, that's an example, man. That's Babylon. That's America. That's, you know, we endured through this, and the Lord saved us out of there, you know. And look at the destruction that is brought upon it. And this time that's coming, by the way, right? Pursuant to Daniel 12:1, right? We're gonna read the destruction that's going to come upon the world, man, and the main place being America. Check this out. Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. "And at that time shall Michael stand up," which is the archangel Michael, "the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book," which is the elect. So this destruction is going to eclipse any other destruction that we've seen, that we've heard of, that we've read about. Okay, is going to be the ultimate. All right, because after that you've got the everlasting kingdom of heaven, man. And we're going to be good, everlasting. All right, Daniel 7. You can read that regarding the everlasting kingdom. The Lord's kingdom, Israel, kingdom of Israel, the kingdom of Yahushua. Right, so this destruction that's coming is going to be the big one. Right, so now we have some understanding of Revelation 18:2. Right, so it's talking about America being taken down. It says it's fallen. Right, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. What's that? That's the, they're getting into business deals and in bed with America, and America's pushing out their philosophies. Okay, that's that wine. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. What's an example of that? You got democracy, LGBTQ. These are the things that are pushed. Okay. And the kings have committed fornication with her. The kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Now, this is important because, you've got some people out there that say, well, the Babylon here, they're saying that it's talking about the Vatican. That's not what it's talking about, okay? The Babylon that it's talking about is America, all right? Now, it says that the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies, right? Now, I'm going to type in, right, the biggest importer in the world in Google, right? And when you type that in, this is what comes up. This is an AI overview. The United States is the world's largest importer of goods, with imports valued at approximately 3.17 trillion in 2023. Now, it doesn't mention the Vatican there. Vatican's a small place, man. Okay? It's talking about America. That's what this prophecy in Revelation 18 is talking about. All right? Because when America is destroyed, all that money that all these different nations are making off of it, they ain't going to be making no money off of it no more. All right? You see what Trump's doing right now with these tariffs, right? He's supposedly put a pause on it now. But Trump, which is the president of America, right, putting these tariffs out there, you can see how much of uproar that's caused just in the world economically, globally. So that's the impact that America has, all right? But you know what, that is all set up anyway. But just an example to show you that the merchants of the earth, they rely on America for them big bucks, all right? The largest consumer nation. It says, and I heard another voice from heaven, right? And an example of what America does is you got, I think, there's a documentary and it talks about these things called, these people called it the economic hitman. They might go over to another place, they might set up a bank there, central bank, and they'll change the laws and they'll have an impact on that society to push forward their agenda. Excuse me. Okay. And if they've got a leader in place that's, coming up against them, they'll get rid of that leader and put their puppet leader instead. All right. There's many examples of that. Well, they tried to do it in Venezuela. Okay. You had different leaders that were lifting up their heads, and Chavez and things like that, and they're dead now. Okay. So you have different examples. You had it in Iran for a bit, but then Iran came back. You got the Shah and all that. So you have different examples throughout history where you've tried to have these. Yeah, they've had these coups. Okay. Verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. So the Lord is actually going to get the elect out of her. That's the people that it's talking about, the elect of the nation of Israel, right? This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Hamashiach shall rise first. Then, so that's the ones that died in this truth. They're going to be coming back with the Lord first, all right? Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, talking about the chariots, to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. All right, so that's what that's talking about. Come out of them, my people. Okay, and we got to come out of this man's system in our minds too. All right, but ultimately it leads to what? It says that we not be partaker of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. What's the plague that is talking about that we don't want to be receiving, that we want to get out of? Right, that's in Zechariah chapter 14 verse 12. It says, and this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. Now, what do you know that does that? Where you're standing and you're just getting consumed away. That's that nuclear blast. That's that when you're in that range of that atomic blast, and that firewall's coming towards you, and you're getting disintegrated atomically. That's what that's talking about, man. All right. You saw which this was really a tame comparison to what's going to be happening, but you saw in Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and the movie's called Judgment Day, right? Terminator 2, you had Sarah Connor. She had that vision where she was on the railings in the playground. She's watching all the children play, representing, I guess that would represent like peace, the sound of children playing or whatever. Then all of a sudden, bam, it was a nuclear strike, and she was just on the railings getting burnt to a crisp, man. Okay. When the way that America's gonna get hit, man, that railing and her, that's all gonna get disintegrated, man. So that's the kind of the level of destruction that the Lord's bringing upon America. We've got to visualize these things, man. Right? It says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and God have remembered her iniquities. Okay, hey, even this man is trying to go up into space, polluting space and all sorts. He needs to be stopped. Okay, it needs to be stopped, man. And the Lord is, the angels watch good and evil. They're recording everything. Okay, they're recording the works that we're doing right now. Okay, and this right now, this is a righteous work because I'm doing the work of the Lord. Okay, they're going to be recording the evil works that Esau's doing. Okay, and the wicked of our people. Right. So everything's getting recorded, man. It says, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. Right? Let's get a precept. This is, bear with me, Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 12. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establisheth a city by iniquity. So ultimately destruction comes upon someone who establishes a place like that. And how was America founded? Of the blood, okay, of the Israelites. Okay, they went in there, they killed the North American Indians, the Seminole Indians. They killed all the inhabitants of the land, the Hispanic tribes. Okay, so-called Hispanic tribes. You had Judah, Benjamin, Levi brought over. Okay, cargo slave ships and serving hardcore bondage with the other tribes. Okay, all sorts, all up and down, man. So there has to be a recompense for that. The Lord don't forget those things. That's what's that? Numbers. Bear with me. Numbers. Bear with me. Right, Numbers 35 verse 33. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. So who's the one that shed our blood? Esau. Okay, working in tandem with these other nations, and they're gonna have to pay. They're gonna have to pay, man. So America is cursed. America is gonna be. That's why it's all throughout the scriptures talking about its utter destruction. So they ain't talking about ancient Babylon, over there in Iraq, because people are dwelling there right now. Okay, you got governments, you got people shopping and stuff. No, no, no. It's talking about America. It's a future prophecy. Okay, so the only way, going back to Revelation 18, that's part of that cup that's going to come upon America, man, for all the works that have been done upon it. Okay, how much she have glorified herself. That's what America does. Okay, it sees itself as the beacon of light upon the world, man. It's that pride. How much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. But they will. Okay? They will see sorrow, man. It will be a great sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine. And she shall be utterly burned with fire. Because you're going to be having Jacob's trouble leading up to the destruction. And there's going to come that day where America is going to be destroyed in that day. And for say in 1 hour, the way the missiles are going to be coming, and the lasers from the chariots, it's going to be a quick fall, man, like lightning, very quick. Okay, 1 minute, people are there getting married, and scriptures say Matthew 24, married and giving in marriage. Okay, people are going to be going to the stores and this and that. They're going to have which by that time the MOTB is going to be out there. People are going to be going to the stores chipped and all that. Okay, and then bam. Okay, you ain't going to be going nowhere. All right. By the time the missiles come, man, you ain't going nowhere. Okay, so if you're on the shores of America, if you're in the land of in America, United States of America, okay, in that time, and you're not of the elect, you're going to be burnt to a crisp by the thermonuclear destruction that the Lord's bringing upon there, man. That fire and brimstone, right? It says, for strong is the Lord power, Yahweh Shai, who judgeth us. So the Lord's bringing that. It's going to show his strength. And we've been telling you, I've been telling you on the streets, on these lessons, we've been telling you who's going to bring that destruction. Yahweh Shai. We're giving you that name so that when the destruction happens, that name is glorified, man. All right? When that salvation happens, that's I ain't going to get it, but that's in Jeremiah 16. Jeremiah 16, around the 14th to the 16th verse, I believe. It talks about the salvation out of the land of Egypt, which was a great salvation. But the salvation that's going to come out of America is going to eclipse that. All right? And that's going to be a new day that we're going to be keeping in the kingdom. He says, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, making that money, shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. Why? Because all their deals, everything that's gone, and that's going to be a great destruction, man. It's going to be horrifying, and it's going to be televised. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, because it's going to be such a great destruction. The scriptures talk about the earth being shaken, man. Earthquakes happen because of the destruction, right? It says, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, the great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And there you go. It's going to be a quick one, man. The scriptures tell us. Let's get that in Zephaniah. Zephaniah chapter 1 verse 18. It says, neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath. It's because it talks about it's funny because it talks about that with the Medes in Revelation and Isaiah 13. They ain't going to take no deals. So all this wealth, all that money, they ain't going to be able to save them from this destruction. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath, but the whole land shall be devoured. Okay? So it doesn't matter how much money you got or what's going on. If you are there, you ain't of the elect, you're going to get destroyed. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath, but the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. For he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. So any of the elect, speedy riddance, man. It's going to be quick. Okay? Now let's go back to Revelation 18. Zephaniah is a good chapter. right? Back in Revelation 18, verse 11. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. So that's how you know you ain't talking about no Vatican, man. You gotta be careful with these different groups out there just spouting all kind of nonsense. That doesn't even make sense. They're gonna be weeping and mourning because that's gonna be. I just showed you earlier the biggest consumer nation on the earth is gonna be taken. That's gonna be wiped off. It's done. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones, and of pearls and fine linen, and purple and silk, and scarlet, and all fine wood, and all manner of vessels of ivory, and all manner of vessels most precious wood of brass and iron and marble. You can find all that in America. You can find it all in America. And cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and the souls of men. All right. It says what? Slaves and souls of men. Which America, you know, the whole world's got that, but that's that place, man, that was built up off of that. Okay. It says the souls of men. You got people that are getting deals. When you get a deal in America, that's you've hit big time. Okay. And what do they say when you get that deal? They say you sold his soul. America's that when you're in the music industry, if you want to make it, if you're in the show business or whatever, you want to break America. They want to go do a movie in Hollywood or whatever. They want to. That's how it goes. Okay, because that's that main place. And the fruits of that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which are dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. Now, when you go into that word dainty, you go into the blue letter. Bear with me. Man, everything being slow today. Right. Revelation, what was it, 18 and 14? Yeah. So I'm going to look into that word dainty now. And the word dainty, right, is talking about fat, grease, fat. Okay. And the word there is liparos, from lipos, which is grease, which is funny because you got something called liposuction where they get the fat out of that body. Okay. So if you look at the, you know, the greasy, you know, all that fat, you look at the kind of diet over there in America and the different things that are being pushed through that American diet, fast food and this and that. Okay. All that dainty, all that stuff ain't gonna be, it's not gonna be found no more. Completely and utterly destroyed, man. All right. It says the merchants of these things, you know, we ain't gonna in the kingdom, people ain't just gonna be able to go and do what how they want. Okay, Israel's gonna be according to the, you know, to the laws of the Lord. We're gonna be have freedom. Okay, true freedom, man. All right, you heathens, you ain't gonna be. You think the heathen gonna be? You can be eating slop, man. We're gonna be giving these so slop. Okay, just enough to just get you through. The merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing. Okay, like when you had 9/11 happen, you know, the earth stood still, if you will. Everyone was watching it. I remember watching it on the news, and pretty much, you know, this destruction, people are gonna be viewing it and like, whoa, man, like it's gonna be out of this world. Something that people ain't seen before. Okay. When you had that destruction that happened in Sodom and Gomorrah and those cities, a lot of these daughters, they thought that it was it. Everyone was fucked. Like they thought it was destroyed, man. Okay. But now, like, look, you know, that destruction compared to this destruction that's coming is this is gonna be a great destruction. Okay. It says, the merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing. and saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour, so great riches is come to naught. And that's amazing because, like, all that building up that America's been doing, the Lord's going to take that down in 1 hour. Quick. That's a great example of the Lord's power, man, because the Lord is the one that has basically allowed America to rise up. Okay. For in 1 hour, so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off, because you got a lot of what they call it, sea freight. You got a lot of trade by sea. Okay, so you're gonna be having, you're actually gonna be seeing that. They're gonna actually be seeing the destruction. Okay, and pretty much all of this, there with me, all of this, all the riches, that's all gonna get transferred over to us, man. Okay, we're gonna be the ones that are gonna be enjoying all that. Okay, it says, where was I? Right. This is verse 18. And cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? All right. Because you're going to be having. Right. I don't know what happened there, man. It just kicked me off the stream, like. Right. Let's check this. Loading them back on here. All right. Cool. Testing. I don't know what happened there. There we go. Cool. Yeah, man. It's, technical difficulties. Forgive me if you have any problems with the sound or anything like that. Let me know. I'll be sure. Right. So let's keep going. Um, Right. And they cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? We read that. And they cast dust on their heads and cried. And, that's not something they're going to actually do. That was an ancient custom representing mourning. Okay. And they cast dust upon their heads and cried, weeping and wailing. Okay. Saying, Alas, alas, that great city, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. Going back to what we read earlier. For in 1 hour is she made desolate. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for Yahweh Shai have avenged you on her. And that's going to be a great day. That's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for that avenging. All right. And who's the avenger? Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai is going to be the one that's going to avenge us by, from and save us from the hand of our enemies. Okay. Just talk about his might and how strong he is, and when he comes, when he comes with the angels, that armada, he's coming with a great destruction, man. And America's going to be the main place of that destruction. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. That's how you know it's talking about the ancient Babylon over there in America. So I'm talking about that. That's the people living there right now. It's going to be found no more at all. Meaning what? No one is going to be done. We don't want living there. It's done, man. Okay, that's the United States of America and the American Empire. Well, that's going to be done. Okay, for Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. We're going to be ruling the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of Israel. That's going to be what's ruling upon the earth, man, and ruling the galaxies. Okay, you know, well, see, Esau goes up into space and does all this, but he can't even pass the radiation belts. Okay, he can't even really expand, which that goes into the scriptures in what's that? A blessing in Jeremiah. If you can search out heavens above and all that, the Lord was saying that He would get rid of Israel, which they. Right, yeah. So the phone, I caught it this time. The phone says it's overheating. So I'm just gonna hold it at this angle right now. So I've got the window open. It's gonna get a bit of a breeze on there. And Lord willing, that'll be all right, man. All right, we ain't got much long left in this, so I'm just gonna, go through it. Read it. Let me read that again. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, "Thus with violence shall the great city Babylon be thrown down and shall be found no more at all." So it's going to be a great destruction. It's going to be violent. Okay, it's not going to be a peaceful takeover. Like Lord ain't going to come down and go to the UN and go to the White House and sit down with a president. No, 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 no. The Lord's coming as a conquering Lion of Judah. He's coming with the armada. He's coming with the angels. He's coming for just straight destruction. That's what the Lord's coming with, man. America can't be on this system. Can't be on the earth running alongside our system. No, we're going to be completely. The Lord is going to take it down. Okay, and it's going to be the Lord's system upon the earth. We're going to be ruling the kingdom of Israel. Okay, the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Lord are going to be in effect. Okay, on the whole earth, and pretty much that's what's going to be happening, man. That's the takeover. It says, and the voice of harpers and musicians and of pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee, and no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee, and the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. The land of opportunities or jobs and this and that. No, that is going to be done. Okay, and even leading up to the destruction, scriptures talk about the grinding shall cease. You're gonna have more economic woes, more problems, more job losses, more places shutting down as they push forward their new world order agenda. Ultimately, the Lord's gonna destroy that place, man. It ain't gonna be the land of opportunities no more. It's gonna be the land of the Lord's destruction. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee. All right. And when you look at like you see at night, you see a city, it's all lit up. It ain't gonna be happening no more. It's gonna be done. No lights in America. Everything's gonna be destroyed. It's gonna be a heap. And the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. No more weddings, none of that. For that, in America, for thy merchants for thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. By thy sorceries, man. Let's go to Isaiah 47 quickly, right? Because that's great witchcraft over there in America that was built upon witchcraft. Okay, the founding fathers were warlocks and sorcerers, man. Okay. This is Isaiah chapter 47, verse 11. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, and thou shalt know it, know not from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off. Though they ain't gonna be able to put off this destruction. They always show in these movies and these different things, shows, they're at the Pentagon, they're in some top secret site where they're gonna be able to stop. Nah, look, that's why do you think they got all these space programs? The sixth arm of the Lord's, the branch of the military and all that. They think they're gonna be able to come up against the Lord. Well, read 2 Esdras 13, man. There was nothing to be perceived but dust and smell of smoke. The Lord's gonna laser them up. It's not gonna be no back and forth. No, it's gonna be over. That war in heaven with Michael and his angels and Esau and his military, okay, which is going to be that battle that's going to happen in the air. That ain't going to be no back and forth. They're just going to get wiped off. They're going to be destroyed. The Lord's got the greater tech, man, put the mightier strength. The Lord gave them that technology that they've got. Stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth, from the beginning of America. If so be thou shalt be able to profit. If so be thou mayest prevail. Yeah, man. Yeah. Go and stand. Go to do your they do their rituals and all that. Do that stuff. You think that's going to be able to stop the destruction that's coming to you? And really, in that day, they're going to be trying to seek answers from these demons. Demons ain't going to be with that, man. Okay, because the demons on the left-hand side, they serve the Lord. And this the destruction is coming. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators, stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee, which they're not going to be able to. Behold, they shall be as stubble, the fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. Yeah, man. So a great destruction is coming upon America, and that's I've got one more verse, pretty much covers Revelation 18. Right, Revelation 18, verse 24. And in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that was slain upon the earth. Yeah, man. So there's a lot that America has to pay for. Okay, this is the main place. This is where the truth came out from, where the Lord rising up Israel again through his prophets. America is the main place of destruction and the salvation, man. So, hey, forgive me for the technical difficulties, and Lorna, this was an edifying lesson. With that, man, I'm going to say all praise to Yahweh, Bashmi, Shai, Basham, Kakadash, and then, Shalom.